The man referred to as the father of American education was Horace Mann, born May 4th, 1796, in Franklin, Massachusetts, and died at the age of 63 on August 2nd, 1859, in Yellow Springs, Ohio. He was a member of the Whig Party that started in 1833 and ended in 1854. He was in the U.S. House of Representatives from 1848 to 1853. In the year 1837, Horace Mann was appointed to be the first Secretary of Education in the state of Massachusetts. In this time, he traveled to Germany to learn the methods of the Prussian education system. He seemed to be convinced that the Prussian model was the best way to make good citizens. So the American education system is a copy of the Prussian model. And their model was a method of imperialism. They were using this system to brainwash and impose their ways onto the children of the countries that they had conquered. The role of this system was to force nationalism and erase the identity of those who were conquered. This has been done in America as well. An example would be the Indian schools, where Native American children were separated from their families and tribes. To force tax-funded mandatory schooling was a weapon to force assimilation, or in the vernacular of that time, to civilize. Therefore, mandatory schooling from its beginning was an indoctrination camp to meet the goals of social engineers and industrialists. And I've gathered a few quotes to support this, and I hope I'm saying his name right. Johann Gottlieb Fichte was a German philosopher born May 19, 1762, and died January 29, 1814. And in his book, The General Nature of the New Education, he wrote, "Education should aim at destroying free will, so that after the pupils are thus schooled, they will be incapable throughout the rest of their lives of thinking or acting otherwise than as their school masters would have wished." Okay? The General Education Board, which existed from 1902 to 1964, was funded by John D. Rockefeller, and they are documented as saying, "We shall try not to make these people or any of their children into philosophers or men of science. We have not to raise up from among them authors, educators, poets, or men of letters. We shall not search for embryo great artists, painters, musicians, nor lawyers, doctors, preachers, politicians, or statesmen, of who we have ample supply." So that means they want to control who gets all of those things. They want to choose who's able to do everything. Okay? And here's another documentation from the Education Board, the General Education Board. "In our dreams, people yield themselves with perfect docility to our molding hands. The present educational conventions fade from our minds, and unhampered by tradition, we work our own goodwill upon a grateful and responsive folk." Okay? So what that means is they want you to be a happy little slave. They want to breadcrumb you, and you're supposed to be thankful for whatever little crumb they accidentally dropped that they let you grab before they could step on you. And the reason that I wanted to talk about these things is this is not new information. I mean, this information is out there. You can look it up. But I think it's important to keep talking about it, because how many children are in the education system right now and they're still being affected by this abuse? This is an abuse system. And you wonder why the world's screwed up? Because you're sending your kids to be abused. And you don't want to take accountability or responsibility. You say, oh, it ain't my fault. I voted for another way, so it's not my fault. Okay, big deal, you voted. Just like Horace Mann was also voted in. So no, there is accountability there. Just because you voted don't mean you're innocent. I do not vote because I see the voting system as what it is. It's a manipulation. It's a false representation of a choice. It's an illusion. But I've always felt that the education system was an abuse. I felt that way even when I was in school. And I've only discovered more ways to point that out ever since. And so your children are still being affected by a man that lived 200 something years ago, okay? He designed this system to be able to assimilate whatever he wanted into the children. The Rockefellers, the Carnegie Institute, the Ford Foundation, they've all spent millions and millions and millions of dollars to manipulate the school system. Okay, so don't give me this shit about education. It's for the children. It's not. It's for the fucking billionaires. Okay. The education system is to keep us slaves. They're enslaving you through your children. You understand that? You've been enslaved since you were a child because of this system, and you think that's normal, so now you're allowing it to be done to your child. Well, that's bullshit. So I do not believe in the school system. Christopher Columbus did not discover America. Why are they still teaching that even though we've been knowing that's a lie? You see? They continue to tell lies even when we know it's a lie. Why do we allow this? And I don't even have children, and that bothers me. So we got to step it up for the children. Don't think that you're helping your children by sending them to a public indoctrination center that was designed by the billionaire elitists that want to make useful idiots out of the population. And that's exactly what they've done. They've done a terrific fucking job. If you have a brain, you can see it. But this stuff makes me mad. And so that's all I'm trying to do, is just put out information. And it's not exactly new information, but it needs to be heard. It needs to be talked about over and over and over until eventually this light bulb sparks in people's brains like, hey, we shouldn't allow this to be done to the children, right? So I think, technically speaking, I'm going to say teachers are child abusers. The principal is a child abuser. The guidance counselor is a child abuser. Anybody involved in there is a child abuser. And they probably too dumb to know it. They probably don't know none of this shit. But it don't matter if you like what's true. It don't matter if you like a fact. It just don't matter. The truth is often too extreme for people to handle. The truth don't change because you don't like the truth. So therefore the truth is an extremity. So if you think that what I'm telling you is extreme, it's because it is, because it's true. So I hope I let somebody know something they didn't already know. And because that's all I really want to do is put out information. And so whoever sees this, let me know something if you know something I don't know. If you think I got something wrong, or if you want to add to something I said, put it in a comment, because I want to know. And if I find more that I want to add to this, I'll do that myself. But anyway, that's all I want to say about it for now. So thank you for listening, and have a safe, happy day.